Hi, I'm Kristen, and this is the Simple Handmade Everyday Podcast, where I talk about living a creative, intentional life. I like to chat about quilting, sometimes knitting, what I'm reading and watching, and a little bit about keeping a cozy, organized home. I've got my cup of tea in hand, so let's settle in for a chat. This is episode 63. Happy New Year! Wow, it is so good to be back. I took a little bit of an extra week here, because my normal podcast day would have been my very last day of a 2-week vacation from work. And I just wanted to enjoy that last day. And it was great. I haven't taken vacation in a long time. It's a little hard to do sometimes when you're self-employed. But, and I have people, who are, I have to provide a certain level of, work for people on a monthly basis. But I was able to work ahead, and it was so good. We did, pretty much everybody took a long vacation. My husband was off. The boys were off school. Chloe took a week off, so it was good. We went on a really nice hike out in Ojai. We did some long bike rides, and just played games, card games, board games. It was very nice, and it was one of those vacations where I felt I had plenty of time to just relax, read, watch my shows, do my hand sewing, things like that, but also a little bit productive. I'll kind of talk about that at the end of the podcast with the homemaking section. So what else happened? It's my youngest son, his senior year. And we did a thing. It's going to be the weirdest yearbook ever because, there are no real clubs or sports meeting in normal ways. I think there might be some sports going on. I'm not 100% sure. But they were put out this call for pictures for the yearbook. So my son is in this really great situation where he has been friends with the same group of people since elementary school. And so some of us moms dug up old pictures from when they were in, kindergarten, first, second, third grade, even middle school, and we recreated some of those pictures with them now, which was a little tricky because we're in the middle of a pandemic. But one of the moms made them all masks that she did this iron-on thing that said class of 2021, and so they all wore masks. And we try to keep things as distant as possible. But so, it's a very, very pandemic photographs. But it was really fun to see them, how they've changed over the years. So that was pretty fun. But perhaps one of the best things that came out of the fact that one of these moms made masks is that I found out that there are better ear loops on the market now. And I've been wondering about that because I did buy a box of disposable masks from Costco, and I put a 10-pack in every car glove box just because there's been situations where we have forgotten to bring masks places, even just popping to the grocery store and you're like, oh no, I don't have a mask. I got to go back home. So I've got some disposable ones in there, and that happened to me. I had never worn the disposable, like the blue surgical mask kind of is what I'm talking about. Again, my youngest son has told me that they are so much easier to breathe through than the fabric mask. He's like, I'm sorry, Mom, I know you made masks, but I really prefer this one. And he was a lifeguard at a country club, and he would have to wear a mask for 8 hours. And, he just really preferred those for those days. So I tried one of those masks, and I was like, you know what? He's right. They are so much easier to breathe through. And more than that, they have these soft ear loops. I have this problem about masks not fitting different people's faces, but, these surgical masks, people don't seem to have that problem. I think the masks are a little bit smaller on the face. They're not as wide as across as I was making them. And then they have this soft elastic that's more like, I don't even know, it's a tube, and it's almost like it's made of, it's kind of like the t-shirt thing, but I now know that if you make ear loops out of stretchy t-shirt, t-shirt yarn, it stretches out and they will become too big, and then you have to start knotting them. But anyways, so I was like, I need to look on Amazon for this kind of ear loop. And I had kind of that was like a thing I was supposed to do, and I kept forgetting about it. But then when this mom made these masks, and they are so comfortable, I'm like, okay. So I went and did a search, and I was able to buy, I'll put a link in the show notes, and I was able to buy a set that has half black, half white ones, and they come, not only are they that soft, really nice soft elastic, but they have a little plastic thing that makes them adjustable. So so nice. So this week I went through and cut the elastic off of a bunch of masks that weren't working anymore. I've actually had two of the 1/4 inch elastic. I've had 2 masks break. Just the elastic just frayed and broke. So I cut the elastic off those, and I cut the elastic off the ones that I really hated, which was the first masks I made, which were that really super skinny round elastic. I mean, I don't know, like 1/16 of an inch or something. And that stuff was really stretching out. It was, we hang these out to dry in the sun after we wash them, and sometimes they stay out there for a while, so I have a feeling maybe the sun has compromised the elastic. So anyways, I cut them off and I just sewed them, like, so that the ear loops aren't even tucked inside between the layers of the mask. I just sewed them to the inside, and they're so soft you can't even feel them. And I am so much happier with our masks. I was really hating them, and they're so much better. So I will put a link in the show notes, but I'm so glad that they have come out with better elastic. All right, enough about masks. Let's get this podcast going. But first, I'd like to thank the Fat Quarter Shop for sponsoring the podcast. The Fat Quarter Shop is a one-stop show for quilting fabrics and supplies for quilters around the world. They stock quilt shop quality fabrics, pre-cuts, quilt kits, patterns, notions, and even cross-stitch supplies. Join the Fat Quarter Shop and Moda Fabrics as they sew the Serendipity quilt benefiting Make-A-Wish Central and South Texas. This organization grants the wishes of children with life-threatening medical conditions to enrich them with hope, strength, and joy. Serendipity is a row quilt of sampler blocks that simply fall into place. This beautiful quilt features Spring Brook by Corey Yoder from Moda Fabrics. We encourage you to donate just $5 for the use of each free Serendipity pattern. The Fat Quarter Shop and Moda will match donations up to $30,000. It's an absolutely gorgeous quilt for a great cause, and I will put a link in the show notes. All right, let's talk quilting. What have you guys been up to? My quilting life, I want to say, is a little boring, but it's not. It's just that I have been working on the hand-pieced quilt-along quilt, which will be revealed on January 25th. But I will tell you, if you happen to listen to this podcast on the day it comes out, tomorrow, Monday, we're going to do a little teaser that kind of reveals the fabrics that we're working with. And I will just tell you right now, if you promise not to tell anybody, that I have been working with a semi-solid called Thatched by Robin Pickens, which is kind of fun. She's a fabric designer that is local to me. And we actually had plans to meet for coffee before the pandemic hit. So anyways, I am loving, I've talked about that I hadn't really made a solids quilt, but then I did the Rooftop Wonders, and then, what was that other? Then I did that more modern quilt that the name is escaping me right now. So I'm doing more of this modern stuff, which I am really enjoying. So it's gorgeous fabric. It's very nice to work with from Moda. And so yeah, you might want to pop over to the blog. And I will probably, I don't know if I'll put a link in the show notes because it's a blog post that comes out tomorrow. But yeah, just absolutely adoring that kind of semi-solid. If solids are a little hard for you, like they a little bit are for me, just because it just seems like there needs to be more going on with the fabric, then the semi-solid that sort of reads as solid is a really nice way to go. The other thing that I've been really enjoying is I got a Daylight Halo Glow light, and I will put a link in the show notes. Did I say Halo Glow? Halo Go. And it is a tabletop lamp that is rechargeable. So you can move it all over the place because you just charge it up, and so you don't have to be near a plug, which is really kind of crucial for me because I hand piece all over the house, and we kind of have terrible lighting in this house because for the most part I like a little bit of low light, for ambiance purposes, but it's not so great to do handwork by. So I scooch my chair right up to the light sometimes, and it's not a great situation. So now I have this chair that I commonly hand piece in, although last night I just sat at my desk and spread all out, and I use this light in both these scenarios where I put that light on the end table next to me in my chair, and it has a really flexible neck. I mean, you can cantilever it out at a really nice angle, and you can just get it exactly where you want it. And when I was working at my desks, here's the really super cool thing, is that it has a little flip top, and there is a magnifying glass that's, I don't know, like maybe 4 inches in diameter. And so as I was sitting at my desk last night, I was stitching, looking through the magnifying glass, which just makes everything so clear and gave me a just really close-up view of how terrible my cuticles look right now. That was the most distracting thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to give yourself a manicure, girl. Or if I just look at them like with my normal eyes right now, I mean, they don't look great, but they don't look terrible, but under a magnifying glass. But anyways, when you get to a certain age, being able to see in dim light and small, close work, it gets challenging. And so this is a super cool lamp that you can just move all over to wherever you need it. I might just keep it on my desk. Where I work during the day is in our front room, which never gets any direct sunlight. It's always a little dark, and which I don't like because I really love the back of our house is just lots of natural light. But I might keep that on my desks, for certain times of the day, especially as it starts to get dark in the afternoon. So anyways, I will put a link in the show notes to it. Super great. So yeah, I don't have a lot of new projects to talk about. I am thinking about what my next projects will be once I finish the hand piece quilt along, but honestly, hand piecing takes a while, so it's going to be a bit. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is I got some books and goodies from C&T Publishing, and there's a few that I really want to talk about. The first one being, they sent a pack of quilty pencils, and these are so cute. They have every pencil has like a style of quilt block on it, and these little quilty sayings like it's so much better with friends, SEW, don't quit, quilt instead, nestle with your seams, quilt today, quilt tomorrow, a quilted day keeps the doctor away. Just like cute little sayings like that. So I haven't sharpened one yet, but I'm going to today. And I just wanted to bring this up because C&T has just had so many cute little, not just books, which I think of C&T Publishing being books, stash books and things like that, but they've got tote bags and zipper pouches and so many cute things. So this, if you are like doing a swap or just you want a gift for a quilty friend, I think these quilty pencils are adorable and just like perfect for that. The next book I want to talk about is called Sew Home in the Kitchen by Abigail American Bennett. What a great name. And this is it's a great book. Now, I used to have a series on my blog called Handmade Home, and so often as I'm just doing things throughout the day, I think, I need to make some more like quilted, like things, dish drainers, something. We hand wash a lot of dishes, and I just use old towels, but it'd be so much cuter if I, made some things with a little quilted top, and I have a few, but they're too small. But I just love little quilted things around the house, table toppers, things like that. And so this book is full of those things and would be also so appropriate if you knew somebody who wanted to get started sewing. And, I feel like a lot of people start sewing with clothes. And I have tried to point out to a few people that starting with a quilt, even though people think that it seems harder, is so much easier because it's flat. It's, not three-dimensional. But little things for the kitchen, they are quick projects, quick wins, and you use them all the time. So they feel very functional. So I wanted to go through a few of the projects here are things like, pot holders, a tea cozy, trivet, a bowl cozy, like when you're taking that bowl of soup out of the microwave, placemats, table runners, coasters, little like a beer cozy, all snack bags, coffee cozy, things like that, just like really fun, quick projects that you'll find super useful. So again, that's called Sew Home in the Kitchen. And I won't talk a lot about this because I've talked about it in other episodes, but I finally got my hands on the Harriet's Journey, which is the quilt from the Circle of Quilters book by Jennifer Cheverini. And I'm holding it in my hands here, and it's a very nicely done book with like 100 blocks. And in the back, they have a gallery of different ways, like different versions of the quilt, like the whole quilt with sort of reproduction fabrics, a modern version that's just made with green and lots of white space where they just did a selection of like maybe 12 blocks. a very modern version that's in solids, that's more like in primary colors, or actually more like secondary colors. Super cool. Table runners, more florals, a blue and green version, where you don't do the 100 blocks, you just kind of figure out how many you want to do. And there are the applique pieces and foundation paper piecing patterns in the back. So anyways, I am definitely going to make at least a sampler from these blocks. It would be a great hand piecing project, but also machine piecing. So I'm super excited about that. I just paused and took a drink of tea, which reminds me every single time that I forget to talk about my cup of tea. I got some really nice teas for Christmas. What I'm drinking right now is the Harney & Sons Dragon Jasmine Pearls. That might not be the exact name. It's those 3 words in perhaps a slightly different order. Maybe it's Dragon Jasmine Pearls or Jasmine, one of those things. Super good. The jasmine tea it's a green tea and it's delicious. This particular one, every tea leaf is rolled into a tiny little ball. And I got the tea bag sachets, which are just loose leaf tea in a very nice quality tea bag. And if you actually just buy the loose leaf and you put it in something like the Tivana Perfect Tea Maker, you can watch each of the little balls unfurl as it steeps, which is really fun. So anyways, the other fun thing that creativity-wise that I've been doing is after Christmas, I bought my daughter and I adult paint by number sets. Did you know this was a thing? They're kind of popular right now. I think they've gained popularity during the pandemic, but you can buy these very realistic looking scenes as paint by numbers. I'm kind of regretting the one that I picked. I'll put a link in the show notes with a picture, and Chloe's too. So they're both still lifes with flowers. Mine is like a pink flower in a clear mason jar. And I've done like the first 4 numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4 of the paint by number kit, which has all been basically just various shades of off-white or gray. So it hasn't been super fun yet. And mine is very, very detailed. Some of the spots that you paint are very small. And I think they're going to take more than 1 coat to even cover the number. But I don't know. It will probably look terrible, but if you just look at the picture on Amazon for it, you're just like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. And Chloe's doing one that's a sunflower. So she's already moved on to various greens, which has been fun. So I think we're going to do that this afternoon. My plan is to make us a couple of lattes and spend some time painting. And the reason I'm making lattes is because I got Chloe a milk frother for Christmas, and life will never be the same. Now, we have gone through many of those little stick frothers. They cost, like $10 or less, and they die, they get bent out of shape or whatever. This is like a little pitcher that you just put some milk in and you press a button and it just froths the milk for you. You can froth cold milk. You can heat up milk by just stirring and not froth it, like to make something like hot chocolate. But I just get the milk going and then just make the rest of my latte, which I do the espresso part using an AeroPress, which is like $25. Makes it's a manual process, but it makes a very nice espresso. And so, like we've got this really inexpensive, I don't have a big espresso maker with a milk steamer and all that. I've got these 2, lower end things, but man, do they make a really good coffee at home. So I'll put some links in the show notes if you want to look at the AeroPress. And I lost somewhere along the line, I lost a piece of the AeroPress, and it turns out that you can buy replacement pieces really easily. So that has turned out to be a really good thing. So yeah, adult paint by numbers. Who knew? Not me. Chloe also did a lot of cross stitch and started knitting again over the Christmas break. So that's been kind of fun. Let's move on to books. I've been mostly doing audiobooks right now because I've been doing a lot of hand sewing. And I finished The Lost Quilter by Jennifer Cheverini, which is one of the historical novels. I talked about it last episode about a runaway slave and how the quilting kind of fit into that. And she was helped and I think it was in a previous book even, by the ancestors of people who were living at the Elm Creek Manor. So the Lost Quilter, I finished that book up while I was putting away Christmas, and that was very enjoyable. And then I ended up linking my library card, a different library card, up to Libby, which is the little app that you can use to not only do audiobooks from libraries, but also just ebooks from libraries. I have, I think, 4 or 5 library cards, but one of them was not linked up, and it's a really nice library around here called the Thousand Oaks Library, which, FYI, Jennifer Cheverini used to work at. And so once I got access to that, I started looking for, don't laugh, Louise Penny books, the Inspector Gamache books that the library that I usually listen to them from, they don't have every one of them. So I'm like, oh, which ones have I not heard twice before? And I found they only sadly had one, and it's called Nature of the Beast. And I've been listening to that one. And it's what's kind of cool is at the beginning there's a little message from Louise Penny, and the audio, the reader is so good on these books, and I guess the original reader died, and they'd become personal friends with Louise Penny, and so then she's introducing the new reader, who is from Downton Abbey, and I never realized that. I knew there was 2 readers, I just didn't really know who did what, but he is, I've already forgotten what his name is, but he is the older guy that Lady Edith has a relationship with. And so he's a very good reader too. So I've been really enjoying that. It's a very good book. And so I'm getting my little 3 Pines fix. You know, in a previous episode, I talked about the podcast Out of the Ordinary, where they devoted a whole episode to their love of Inspector Gamache books. And I saw at Christmas time that one of the host of that show, a listener had sent to her this necklace that kind of looks like it's pewter, and it has 3 pine trees on it, and someone had sent it to her, and I almost went and bought myself one. Actually, I don't think it's pewter. I think it's sort of a cheaper metal, because it actually went on sale for $6.95, and I was like, maybe I should buy myself this. I ultimately didn't, but I thought, how cute, a 3 Pines necklace. So I do need to dig out a paper book, because I'm reading like just even rereading books on my iPad before I go to bed, and I should know better. I know that I sleep better if I read a paper book before bed, so I need to dig out one of those. So let's move on to shows. I have been watching a lot of TVs. Matter of fact, my family kind of called me on the fact that I've been watching a lot of TV. I've been doing a lot of hand sewing, which means I'm watching TV. But then, I get into shows, and then I just watch them without doing anything constructive. But the first show I want to talk about is called Janet King. It's on Acorn. I think I mentioned it last episode, but I might have called it something wrong. But it stars the same person who is from A Place to Call Home. Her name's I've already forgotten, Marta Duzelhoff or something like that. And she's amazing. So Janet King is, it's a lawyer show. Think The Good Wife. If you liked The Good Wife, you will like it. So there's a lot of, investigation. So there's, some police things. But the fun part about this is that it's in Australia. And so their legal system is a little different than the way we have it in the U.S. For instance, the judge and the prosecutors wear wigs and robes and things like that, which is kind of fun. That would be the barristers wear wigs, and then solicitors are also a lawyer, but they're like they don't argue in court. They're kind of like your backup person that's you've worked on with the case. So you've learned there's this difference. I've never really understood the difference between barrister and solicitor before. So anyways, it's 3 seasons, focusing mostly on this character, Janet King, but it's a total ensemble cast. And then as I was looking into that, I found out that it was a spin-off show from a different show called Crownies, which was only around for 1 season. It was a bit of a longer season. So I'm watching that now, and it is basically the same cast. So this has been very interesting, because Crownies... because the prosecutors, the barristers it's if you're in the U.S., it's, just like a public prosecutor. That's the Crown. And they, it's a way more trashy TV show. And it's funny because I guess it didn't do that well, so they decided to spin off one character and keep 95% of the cast the same, but just make it, I think, a more serious, it's not a police procedural, it's a lawyer, LA Law, a lawyer procedural. So anyways, that's been really fun, and I've really enjoyed those. I haven't quite finished Crownies, and I'm slowing down on that because it really is. It's quite a bit more trashy. A reader also recommended George Gently, also on Acorn, and that is that's more of your detective show. Think Midsummer Murder, not Midsummer Murder so much, but Foyle's War, Endeavor, that kind of a thing. And I have only watched an episode or two of that, but that is definitely on my list. I'm going to watch those. So those are my fun Acorn shows. We also forked over our, $7 to Disney Plus so that we could watch the new season of The Mandalorian, which I enjoyed, not as much as the first season. I mean, it's worth the $7 just to see Baby Yoda. I can tell you, every single time there's a scene with Baby Yoda, I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. So, that was okay, not great. But while we've got Disney Plus, we've watched a couple other things. I'd kind of like to rewatch Hamilton. We watched the new Pixar movie called Soul, and I have to say, it was really good. I cried at the end. So whether or not you have kids, my kids have seen all the Pixar movies, so it was just fun. Even though they're all adults now, it's fun to watch those kinds of things with them. So that was fun. And then the other night we watched Psych 2, which is this, I didn't even know there was a second Psych movie. It was hilariously terrible. It is a terrible, terrible movie. So not worth getting Disney Plus for, but oh my gosh, it was funny, but really dumb. And then the last thing is we finally finished up, I think on New Year's maybe, the Lord of the Rings series. We watched beginning to end, which is maybe a 12-hour commitment or something, the entire extended Lord of the Rings series. So that's been kind of fun. So it's, we had a lot of time in our hands because of the vacations, and so that's kind of slowing down now. But it was fun while it lasted. So let's move on to, this is often the homemaking section, but also just about habits and productivity and living a better life. And so during the my little vacation, I made a couple decisions. I took the Facebook app off of my phone and tablet, which means that I can look at Facebook if I sit down at my computer, which I was not doing a lot of while I was on vacation. And then I eventually took the Instagram app off of those as well. And I found out that I didn't miss them. And I have gone on both platforms at my computer, and I've done a few posts in the Simple Handmade Everyday, which I've not been doing as much of because I was just kind of, seeing what this felt like. And I don't mind. I would like to be better about posting in Simple Handmade Everyday in our private Facebook group. And I encourage you guys to post, what you're working on and things like that without, me starting prompt. Feel free to post all kinds of what you're reading, watching, sewing, knitting, whatever, go ahead. It's your group too. But so if I'm fine with sitting down and doing a well-considered post and then getting off, and then just popping in every once in a while to interact with you guys and engage as you guys are posting the things you're working on or reading or whatever. But I stopped scrolling. I decided to, as I did a little graphic, to read more and scroll less. And it was kind of interesting that, when you don't have Facebook or Instagram on your phone, I would pick up my phone out of habit and realize there is nothing for me to do. The only thing I can do is read news, and that gets old really fast. There's nothing entertaining about this phone right now, so I could just set it down and then go pick up a book instead. And that has been so life-giving to me lately. So I fully intended to put Instagram back on my phone, and I haven't really missed it. I'm sure that I'll go back to it, but sometimes just there's too much input, and when you have too much input, it can be inspiring. I have no regrets about, I've been inspired and I've purchased and made different kind of quilts from being inspired by people online. So it's a good thing. But at some point, you need to be able to think your own thoughts. Even my son said to me one day that I need to stop listening to things all the time, because I realize that I don't have any original thoughts when all I'm getting is input. And I'm very guilty of that too. It's so easy to, when you're cleaning or folding laundry or whatever, to always be listening to something. And I personally think that that's why people get good ideas in the shower, is because it's your brain has time to do something, to create their own thoughts. And honestly, I'm not that great about even posting on those platforms. It was mostly me just scrolling and looking. So I don't think anybody's really missing me there. But I'm just kind of feeling better. I also took some time to unsubscribe in my email to, are you one of these people you get up and you've gotten, between 8 and 20 emails, from people who are trying to sell you things? I have unsubscribed from virtually all of those. And so I can wake up and have almost no new emails in my inbox, and that feels really good. And I also took some time to get all the way to inbox 0. And I don't keep a lot of stuff in my inbox. I'm very good at just deleting. I don't like having anything like unread in there. And so, but I don't always get all the way to inbox 0. And that felt really good and just like a really fresh start to the new year. I also spent some time going through my power sheets and kind of figuring out what I want to do this year. And do you do a word of the year? I think it's a very popular thing to do. And I did pick a word, and it is consistent. There's a quote that I read, and I'm going to get it wrong. It was probably a James Clear from Atomic Habits. That's like, everything you ever want is on the other side of consistency. And I think that is so true. I stop and bail out on so many things. I mean, I get a lot done too, but I could be more focused. And so the first thing that I really want to be consistent on is a strength training program. I had a doctor's appointment, a telehealth, near the end of the year, because I have to stay on top of those things. I'm a 18-year breast cancer survivor, and I had my ovaries out when I was 37 because I have the breast cancer gene. And besides breast cancer, you're at a very high risk for ovarian cancer, which put me into surgical menopause at 37, which, let's be honest, really sucks. So all the bad things that happen to you in your 50s, where you put on weight around your middle and your bones health is in jeopardy, things like that. That all has been happening to me since I was 37. And so I've been fighting the bone density thing for a while, like losing bone density. And I should, I know in my head, I think I've said it before in this podcast, I should do strength training like it's medicine, but I don't, because I hate it. And so I got the news that I am just so borderline to osteoporosis right now. So I started a strength training routine, and that is my number one habit for this year. If I do nothing else, if I don't lose another pound, if I don't, whatever, keep up my homemaking routines, read more, whatever the goals may be, the one thing that I want to come out of this year is with a solid exercise routine, a solid strength training routine with weights. And to that end, my friend Frances turned me on to this YouTuber named Paula B, P-A-H-L-A in the letter B. I'll put a link in the show notes, but she is she's like 50 years old, and she has all these exercise videos, and she has a lot of the you can just follow her every day if you want to, but she has a lot of like walk and run in place, like inside your home kind of videos. I think Leslie Sandstone is like that too, where if you're not in a place where you can walk outside, you can do these routines, and she just talks to you the whole time you're walking. I don't do any of those because I live in Southern California and I would rather get outside, but she has weight routines, and they're about 20-25 minutes, and they are fantastic. I'm really enjoying them. And I even got started on it. I want to do them 3 times a week, which is more ambitious. Usually when I get, go with strength training, and I've tried this a gazillion times, I'm just like, I'll start with 2 times a week. And then when I'm good with that, I'll move to 3 times a week. But these are really, they're enjoyable. They are work, but they're not like really hard. They're not really heavy weights, but you can, I'm using anywhere between 5 and 10 pound hand weights. And as I get stronger, I'll stick more with the 10 pounds. And then who knows, then we have some other weights I could go up to. That seems like a long time away. But I basically need somebody to tell me what I'm doing and how long to do it, because I will work harder if someone is counting it out for me or timing it for me. I'm really too easy on myself. So following the videos is very nice. And she talks to you the whole time. And I mean, once you get used to it, I think I've created a playlist of about 12 of the videos. I went through her channel and made a playlist of just the weight ones. And I just go into the garage and where we have the weights, and I do my thing. And there's a lot of, it's not just strength. It's a standing workout. So you're not up and down off the floor or anything, which is why I can do it in the garage. But she does a lot of balance work and a little bit like compound moves where you are lifting with one hand over your head and the other foot out to the side and then the opposite side. So I think it's also actually really good for your brain because you're kind of like figuring things out. So you are working on your balance, you're working on brain health, you're working on building muscle and strong bones. It's just like, to me, it's the perfect kind of workout, and I don't dread it. And I don't exactly know why. I mean, I don't like look forward to it, but I don't dread it, and I can tell that I've worked. So anyways, Paula B, she also has a podcast called Fitness Matters that I've listened to many episodes. So you might want to check that out. It's just like a really nice way if you are, like 50 or older. It's not the, like, you're jumping up and down, all those kinds of things that you might want to do in your 20s and 30s. It's fitness for the where we are in life, if you are at that point in your life. So I tried not to let all my healthy habits go during my break, but it does always feel like the beginning of the year you want to just kind of double down on some things. So I'm back to intermittent fasting. Again, if you have read The Obesity Code by Jason Fung, he also has a great YouTube channel about the benefits of intermittent fasting. As you get older, I've got my husband doing it now too. I've got a bunch of people doing it, and it's very easy to basically just skip breakfast. It's easier than you think it is, and it does a lot of good things for you internally, helping you with insulin resistance, becoming more fat adapted. They're teaching your body to burn fat instead of the carbs and the sugar that you're eating, things like that. So I'm back to that, and that feels really good. And I'm doing my strength workouts, and that's good for January. If I can just be doing those things, then we'll figure out February when we get there. The other thing that it's been really helping me from a productivity standpoint, I've talked about it on another podcast called The Sunday Basket. And that, even if you don't buy the actual Sunday basket, the method of it has been very helpful to me. You can find all kinds of things about it online, but basically you have a basket where as things come up during the week, you just write them down, like, oh, I'd like to buy another pair of linen pants. Let me put that in there. Oh, we need to, whatever, little things from Amazon. You walk in the house and go, oh, you know what? We really need to replant some things for the landscaping in the front yard. Just make a note and put it in there. Well, you really need to, it was because of the Sunday basket, we finally were able to do a living trust and a will. It's been on my list of things to do for like 15 years. I just kept seeing that every single week. Sometimes, we also want to visit a financial planner just to make sure, that things are going in the right direction. And, I haven't made that call yet, but I take that little piece of paper that says financial planner and I throw it back in every week, and like one day I'm going to get to it. But it keeps it top of mind. So I don't hold anything in my mind that I want to do. I write it down and throw it in there, sort through them on Sundays or Saturdays usually for me, throw away a lot of them because I'm just like, that seemed like a good idea at the time. Not really interested now, and then act on some, realize that I do want to do this, but not now for some. So that's been really good. And one of the things that I threw in the Sunday basket, and we finally did over vacation, was I don't know what made me think of it, but I thought, I don't think we have enough smoke detectors in this house, and our carbon monoxide detector died about a year ago. We never replaced it, so I did some research, and we ended up putting in 6 new smoke detectors. We only had one that's hardwired to our house, which is the only thing that you legally need to have for a house our age. But I did some research. You need to have a smoke detector in the hallway outside of bedrooms, one in every bedroom, and one near the kitchen downstairs, carbon monoxide, one on each floor. So we went and bought a bunch of them. I ended up calling my brother, who is a firefighter, and said, I'm not exactly sure where to put those. So he kind of walked me through where to put, especially the carbon monoxide things, because he was like, they're actually more important. I thought this was interesting. He said, I've seen carbon monoxide detectors save more lives than smoke detectors. So we've got one of those near our fireplace, and we've got another one near our kitchen, which is because we have a gas stove. You want to put them near places that have gas, obviously. But so that felt really good, just to like knock those little things off that you're I just had this niggling, unease that, I'm not sure we have done that correctly. So let's fix that. So anyway, so those are the kind of things that I'm working on as we go into 2021, which we all have, big hopes for. Not starting off so great, but we're going to hold out hope that it's going to get better. Before I go, I do want to thank some people for reviews. Nancy H1211 left a review on Apple. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And then I got a wonderful email from Terry Ann telling me how she enjoys the podcast as well. So I appreciate your reviews so much. They do help other people find the podcast and bring it up in those kinds of searches. So thank you so much for that. I hope that 2021 is off to a good start for you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. You can find me online at my blog, Simple Handmade Everyday, on Instagram at Kristen Esser, and please consider joining the Simple Handmade Everyday private Facebook group so that we can keep the conversation going. Have a wonderful day.